Your child comes home in tears. One parent says,
they need to toughen up.
You say, they need to feel safe. And just like that, you're on opposite teams.
And now the conversation isn't even talking about the child anymore. It's now a fight between the two of you. Research has shown that 90% of the couples report having more arguments after they have children.
And when one parenting style is warm and one parenting style is more of a disciplinarian, it shows that there's behavioral issues that show up within the children, and conflict between the couple skyrockets.
So in today's video, we're going to talk about what happens to your relationship when you parent from different playbooks, and how to get back on the same team without either of you feeling like you've lost.
So grab a pen and let's begin.
Hey everyone, we're Jeff and Ellen, and today we're talking about differing parenting styles.
I hear it all the time from clients that say, we get along so well. The only area we argue about is when it comes to the children.
How does it get to be this bad that we're now clashing? Where's this all come from?
Well, it comes from your upbringing, how you were reared, and it comes from my upbringing and how I was reared, and they're different.
Oh, so childhood. Interesting.
Yeah. And so I didn't even know what kind of parenting ideals I had until I got into this relationship with you and until we had our son.
Oh boy. We'll have the child first.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure it all out later.
Right. So note to all those couples who think, oh, you know what'll make our relationship stronger and heal the wounds that we have? Let's have a child
Let's
together.
just add another human being.
Yeah, that'll solve it.
A third human being.
That'll bond us.
That will have needs. Oh boy, that's going to be challenging. So let's talk about the different parenting styles. Our example. So for you, with your...
I grew up being parented where everything was happy. We always looked on the bright side. There was always a silver lining. And also, whatever you want.
Everything was good.
Everything was good. And so whatever we wanted, if we didn't want to continue with dance lessons, we didn't have to. If we wanted to switch to piano, we could do that. And then if we wanted to stop that and we wanted to take a break and just enjoy our summers and have freedom, we could do that too. Lots of freedom. And
I grew up with more of a regimented, more structure, definitely an eye for detail of you missed a spot, here's where you could do that better. A lot of specificity.
Yes.
So not being afraid of emotions and an eye for detail meets freedom.
Yeah.
And everything is good and everything's acceptable. And now we're clashing as parents when something happens to our son. And now we have different perspectives on how we should solve this problem.
You can see why the stats show that behavioral issues start to rise in children over time when that is the household norm.
Yeah, if we don't negotiate that.
Yes.
And so let's talk about the impacts or the negative consequences of the parenting styles that we bring. So with your parents, everything is rosy, everything is good, stayed in a vagueness. But it also meant that freedom, the other side of it means an absolving of responsibility.
Yes. So when it came time to receiving feedback, hearing the word no, having to learn someone else's way or methodology, which would be more uncomfortable, I had more resistance about that.
And withdrawal.
Yeah.
So withdrawal of hearing the specificity that I would bring. So that lack of structure caused problems. The too much structure that I brought caused problems.
Yeah.
The too much detail, the too much productivity. And so when we see a behavior in our child, you and I have different responses to that. And it's not just that we have different positions, it's the stories that go on with that, right?
Can you give me an example?
So the story is if, I don't want our son to be lazy. I don't want to just not wasting his life by doing anything, not willy-nilly.
Right.
No, we're gonna get stuff done. We're not just here to lounge around, right?
And
we're not just laying on the couch watching clouds all day. No siree, right?
Right. And then I would come back at, I don't want our son to grow up stressed and to believe that his worth is defined by what he does and how productive he is, and that he doesn't have time to develop his imagination. There's no room for boredom. That's such a necessary part of anyone's development.
The laissez-faire approach that, if our son stumbles and scrapes his knee, like, it's all good. Everything is good because you had to figure it out. You had freedom to figure things out. And for me, that was antithetical to, I got to get in there and I got to fix it because I got to be engaged and be on it. And oh my goodness, he's scraped his knee.
Like, how do we make sure he doesn't fall again?
Yeah. Let's pad these bars. And when he's climbing, I'll be right next to him, right? I'm so in.
Right.
And so the freedom you had where you I figured things out on my own. I'm like, no, that's abandonment. So we gotta be in there, right?
And then we both get to that statement. It says, well, look, that's how I was reared and I made it here.
And that's how I was reared and I made it. Look, I'm not a total mess up. I know how to do life.
Yeah.
I can do life my way. And you're saying the exact same thing. And now we're clashing on how do we deal with a scraped knee? How do we deal with tears? How do we deal with marks, school, performance, socializing?
And what we're actually...
If some kid is mean to you, how do we have different reactions?
Oh, yes.
What's the feedback, the advice, the coaching we're going to give him?
No, you can't punch the other child.
Really hard. Just a light punch. He can still breathe.
Yeah. Just enough to show him not to come back.
Don't come back, right?
Yeah. I know, and I'm saying, you got to find your voice, use your voice, and you're like, use your fists. and
this is going to speak so much, right? But to distill it down, how much of the over of my coming in and how much of the under are you coming in to allow it? And that, we're coming from opposite sides of somewhat the same coin.
Yes.
How do we deal with uncomfortable emotions? Right?
And we should be talking about how do we deal with our uncomfortable emotions. We're not talking about the uncomfortable emotions of our child, because that's the whole thing is...
keep going.
Yeah, it has actually little to do with what's happening with our son. We're actually, the attention, which needs to be on him, isn't, because we're too busy stealing the attention and putting it on us about whose approach is right.
Whose discomfort
yes.
are we actually talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about your discomfort and my discomfort. And that is the conversation that doesn't happen enough. And that is a conversation, as if we've said in past videos, when there's conflict, the time to talk about those things isn't in the heat of the moment.
Isn't during conflict. Nope, that's too late.
It's actually when things are calm and you want to step outside the relationship, have one of those meta conversations, and talk about what is our approach.
Well, I think before we get to the approach, it's like, what is the story?
Yeah, what is this? Why is this bothering me so much? What is my worked upness about?
Yeah, before we get to the solution, we have to identify what's driving the weird and wonky behavior for me. So we have to find out, Jeff, what is the story that I'm making up? What's the tape that's playing in your mind about this scenario about our child?
Yes.
And once we bring that to consciousness, I want him to be successful. I want all these things. I want him to have this, or I want him to have this, and I don't want this, and I want this. Once we start talking that stuff out and laying it on the table, there's a couple things that come to it. One, once you get it out of the ether into verbalizing, it almost loses a little bit of a power because I'm like, oh, that's awkward. That's uncomfortable. I just said it. I just admitted it. Then I recognize, oh yeah, I might be a little pushing on the extremism here of my viewpoint in my parenting.
And I had moments where I recognized, oh my God, I just turned into my mother, or I just turned into my father.
I know that's a difficult one. Yeah, to own that.
It's like, oh, wow, I swore I wouldn't do that, and here I am doing it. And now on this side, I understand. On this side of the equation, it makes sense because I can only pull out of my parenting tool bag what has been put in. And so much of that was put in came from my own childhood.
Yeah, if
I didn't go and take a parenting course.
Yeah, if I go back in my memory and, how did problems get solved? Oh, I know, because my dad just did that. Oh, so then that's what we're going to do, because that made the conflict go away. I guess that just made things better. And it's actually not making it better. It's just causing more overpowering, or the other person empowering, win-lose. And I'm just bringing more win-lose.
Yeah. But what do we do as a couple? How do we get on the same page when we're off on different pages and we really believe that our approach is really important to us?
That's a great question. I think we identify what this is, the story about that. I think our child should do this schooling or do this. When I'm really stuck and polarized,
It's a tough word, polarized.
Yeah. When I'm really polarized.
Yeah.
in ingrained in one point of view, that should be the yellow flag.
Actually, I love that. We should highlight that. So it's that moment of self-awareness where when there is an extreme response, a big reaction.
A lot of digging in the heels.
Yes.
That's kind of like the clue, hello,
Yes.
You should be looking here because there's a lot of energy about this one position.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love that. So being aware of that and addressing that in self.
Knowing that, if you and I are differing and we're not exactly on the same page, how far off are
Yes.
we from being the same page? And sometimes when things get really riled up, like, Christmas, we have to go to my parents, right? Well, what about your parents? Or, I want our child to grow up in this religion, or I want this language, or I want this one way because this is the way. And then you're like, well, you're going to start fighting for your way. So how much is this, I want my way to be propagated down to the next generation? How heavily do we want to make sure it's that color, right? If I come from red and you want blue, how much red? Do I really need the whole thing to be red? Or can I just be a little, it's my defensiveness about the red and how much we want to make sure it's red. When you're like, wow, that's a lot of red coming off of you, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of energy, as opposed to we can guide and let them have experiences, and then as they grow older, they get to choose for themselves.
Yeah, they could actually go green.
Yeah.
They don't have to be red or blue, but we said, why don't we expose them to the whole rainbow and let them pick the color that works for them?
Yeah.
But again, all that has to be decided on together for us to connect and get along. Otherwise, we will be enemies to each other, because every day there's a parenting issue. Every day there's the opportunity for us to connect as parents or to be at war as parents.
Yeah.
And that is what your children watch. That's the irony, is they watch how we get along. How do we co-parent together? And if we don't do it well, they start seeing, well, I guess that's what relationship is.
Yeah.
I guess it's really about whose method gets them their way more often than not. I'm going to pick that parent's way.
And when one person loses, how does that parent respond to losing?
And so that's why parenting, it brings up a lot of really core and a lot of strong core emotion and insecurity and anxiety, a lot of threat response in parenting. So that's why when it comes to working with your partner, one, you have to identify that that's what's happening. And then two, go slow. Don't feel like you have to solve that conversation, one conversation, because you won't. It's actually about creating a system so that it can be an ongoing conversation. And the beautiful thing is that when you get good at having the conversation, when you make room to start understanding what your parenting style is, where it came from, and why you're so attached, it provides an opportunity to practice what it really means to understand each other, not necessarily agree, but understand each other. And then that can build closeness and connection in a really lovely way in a relationship.
I think part of about where it came from is, and we've talked about this in a previous video, of how attached we are to our family system.
Yes.
And so I am now the latest generation messenger for this tradition, for this viewpoint, for this culture. And so I'm feeling the pressure from over my shoulder to make sure that I'm fighting for my family's way.
Yeah.
And so it shows up with children, but I think it also shows up all through the meeting, the couplehood, the wedding, and now the child issues are just the latest thing of the same dynamic of my way versus your way.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. And so that means then if I were willing to look at where my way comes from, I'll learn a lot about myself and what I'm so attached to. I might find actually a great deal of freedom by looking at where my parenting style comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in co-parenting, what often ends up happening, it's not one or the other. And I think where the other piece to look at that creates solution is that to get out of it's my way or your way, but actually to see how do they both fit in here? Because oftentimes, actually, the best parenting has a bit of everything in it.
Mm-hmm.
We need both. We do need some freedom, and we also do need some discipline. It's just on what order it comes in. So, for instance, when our son came to us and he was really upset, it might be better that I start with some empathy. And then once his emotions and his state is calmer, then you come in with more...
With the hammer.
Not the hammer, but the structure.
With the structure, right.
Yeah, the structure, the discipline. But if consequence, impact, those are all really important things that our children have to learn and have to be comfortable dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not that we don't bring empathy, and it's not that we don't bring the structure or the discipline. It's just that we don't do them at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that's another way we work together, and that we both feel our needs get met, and we feel good about who our child is becoming because they're getting the best of both worlds,
mm-hmm.
which is what we didn't get.
Yeah. So here's the takeaway. You guys aren't opponents. You come from two different backgrounds, two different upbringings, two different nervous system responses, but you have one goal. You both are on the same team of trying to raise healthy, happy children. To know that that's the goal out in front, then we negotiate our growth opportunities so that we have a strong team, a strong us, so that we have something unified to give to our children.
Ooh, that's good. I can't think of any better gift than that to give to our children than a unified front.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, share this video with anyone you think could use this information.
And check out this next video to keep learning more about relationship advice.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.